Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning to people in America. Hello, and welcome to Call Off the Thrill and Sing. Thank you so much for being on time. And we're going to talk about a huge and sing. Hi, Mum. Nice to see you. Hi, everyone. But you know, when you see your mum, you have to say particular hello to the woman who bore you. Nice to see you. Yeah, we're going to talk about such a huge, epic scale of topic, and you know, we're going to do it with a lot of love and a lot of listening and a lot of singing and a lot of heart. If you could make sure you're on mute, please, that would be great. That would really support the sound quality for everyone. We've got 3 speakers. We've got an extra secret speaker added. We've got a poet. We've got all of you. We're going to hear a song. We're going to see a music video. We're going to sing. We're going to dance. We're going to speak. We're going to listen. So welcome to Call Off the Thought and Sing. First of all, let's just have a little grounding to help us all arrive here. So however you're sitting, just feel your feet. Give them a wiggle. And notice the sensations in the soles of your feet, the pads of the toes, balls, heels. Bring your awareness up your legs to your pelvis. Have a shift from one sit bone to another and help your pelvis acknowledge the weight that's resting there. If it feels like you're weightless, just give it a bit more time, a bit more shift to help the body land in this place, this time, this gathering. Bring your awareness up your torso. Notice the sensations, whatever sensations you're feeling. Take a nice deep breath, slow exhalation. Yeah, one more, make any kind of sound on the exhalation. Good, soften the sides of your tongue. And your eyes may be open or closed, they're fine just as they are. Widen into what we call owl eyes, where you're taking in from the peripheries of your vision. And then just have a little hum into your heart. Feel the vibrations, feel your heart. Yeah, and just send your heart some love. Say, hey heart, I feel you, I care about you, I include you in this event. I'm going to sing from you. You're welcome to join this evening. Yeah. So welcome, all of you. So welcome particularly to, well, all of you, our speakers, Jem Bendell, who's here from Bali. Everybody, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but he wants to share his voice, so bless him, and his kitten, who's very confused about why they're not both sleeping. They're here with us, so thank you. Martin Winiecki from Tamara, which actually is where the song we were listening to the instrumental of as we came in, it's a song called Prayer for Peace, and it came as an improvisation in the hall at Tamara, so it's beautiful that is how we opened. We've got Mickey Cashtan, who's an NVC visionary from the Bay Area, who's a secret last minute speaker. She's going to come in at the end. And we have Skeena Rathor somewhere. There you are, Skeena, bless her, who's coming in from Stroud, I believe. So there are speakers, and hopefully we can have some time to hear from all of you. And then Dave Hampton has a very, very beautiful poem to share. Anna Barker is our producer for the event, so thank you so much, Anna. We're going to warm up our voices, because we're going to need them for the evening. So have a little stretch and wiggle. Just let your body move a bit. This is definitely a body included event. And you get to wiggle however you wanna, anytime. And we'll have a little loo break and a little dancing break halfway through. Yeah, good. Have a yawn into one half of your mouth and down one side of your throat. And the other side. Stick your tongue deeply out, deeply in. Good. Inhale into your nasal cavities one at a time. And then make some kind of heady sounds. It's beautiful to see you all. Yeah, great. Good. Make some kind of throaty sounds really gently. Beautiful. Breathe into the chest. Make some chesty sounds. Beautiful. Breathe into your diaphragm, which is this kind of area between your bra strap and your waist, and see if you can see what kind of sounds come here right now. Great. Breathe into your belly. See what sounds you got there. Even if it's just a hum, yeah. Beautiful. Breathe all the way into your pelvis. See what happens if you sound from there. Beautiful. Move the sound all around your body. Good. Then I'm going to go on mute so you don't hear me and you just have room. Just let your voice off the leash for like 30 seconds and see what it does. Let's go. Great. It's great to see you. So now we'll just play with a little thing called creature language, which is basic. You can't hear me, Jen? No? Can you all hear me? Yeah, great. Thanks for the thumbs up. Creature language, which is basically talking nonsense. Damashakarapa faka. It sounds very rude, the creature. Try and just talk some nonsense. Go ahead. Yeah, great. Now sing it. Timmalela fashamaya la kurama vaya la bore de shamaye de la da da kamnuto. Great, you've got this. So this is what we're using as our emotional support tool as we go into emotional topics. Call Off the Thought and Sing is a lot about being collective with our collective themes. Yeah, I had the idea to do this event series when I had to figure out how to launch my album in a pandemic. And I was like, well, and people were like, well, if you were to tour, who would you want your support act to be? And I thought about it. I was like, Gail Bradford talking. And I realized I really wanted to integrate my music with the social discourses, social, cultural, political discourses that it was a product of and an offering to. So I thought about this event series where I release the songs one by one and invite various voices to come around the fire of the themes and make sense of them and be with them together. So I'm going to play a song now, and then we're going to have a tiny sing, and we're going to hear from Jem. So it's a song called Broken World, and it came as an improvisation in New York after I'd been to a Bill McKibben talk, a 350.org talk in the Bay Area, and had a big cry, because the brain can try and make sense of this world, and then sometimes you just lie down and weep for what it is that we navigate when we have our eyes and our ears open at these times. So then I arrived with my collaborator Gene, the guitarist, and he started playing these chords, and this song came out as a whole, and it's called Broken World. We don't have a music video for it because I don't have the capacity to make a music video for every song. So I invite you to just relax wherever you are and listen, maybe even close your eyes, and maybe even let your imagination make the music video. The planet you love, all the life forms on it you love, all the news you hear that's hard, this struggle between love and destruction and attempts to preserve and protect, and the opposite of that that we have to face. So it's 6 minutes long. Have a listen and we'll get talking. If you give me a moment to sort out my internet, computer audio share. Okay. Can you hear that okay? Welcome, kid, in your soft small hand I will place the whole world. You know, it's so beautiful, the trees they grow and the birds live in them and they sing to the dawn as she rises every morning and the fruits fall on the trees and they will burst into your mouth so sweetly and rivers flow and they will bring you peace in your bones as they glisten in the sun. But you know there's a time limit on the world and the rivers are gonna stop running and the sun is gonna set things on fire. And what was green will brown and dry, and what was ice will become mud. So much of life is already dead, and the delicate things our grandmothers lived with are gone, and the birds will keep singing their songs until such a time comes that they're gone. Welcome, kid, is your heart big enough to hold the whole world? To hold the whole world as it is. Welcome, kid, is your heart big enough to hold the whole world? To hold the whole world as it is. Hey, girl, you like his eyes, and it just seems to draw you in. He's got these ways that put him in the middle of your gaze, and everything else becomes a blur and fades away. But when you get close, you're gonna see everything, the good, the bad, the flowing, the ugly, and the broken. Because the one thing you can be sure of is that he's broken, and you're broken too. Otherwise, how would you fit in this world of broken people and broken things? And yet still, every morning, every blade of grass drinks a bead of dew. And your skin will melt into his like the most beautiful thing in the world. Welcome, kid, you know you're a British citizen and soon an American too. And your countries between them are responsible for, I don't know, maybe something like half of the violence, half of the violence years old and new, and we say that we're great, and we say that we're strong. We got these great big institutions with these great big grand columns. We got a queen and some princes. We got these Hollywood stars, and half of the world comes to visit at their doors. But you know that people are in prison, and prisoners are slaves. The police are shooting at the black people, and the people are shooting at the children in schools. And more than half of the money's getting sucked right up to the top 1 or 2, and those people are feeling broken too. Dear Lord, if you're there at all, tell me, how do you stay whole in a broken world if you're a broken girl at all? How do you stay whole in a broken world if you're a broken woman at home? At home, at home, at home. Oh, it's still going. Thanks for listening to all that. So if you want to just, oh, Mum figured out how to do emojis and did a heart on the screen. If you want to just take it, oh, thank you for the hearts. Oh, that's lovely. You want to take a deep breath and use your own voices to just let your own heart express right now, just a little bit. Yeah, I'll just sing, softly, gently, simply underneath you. So we come into this world at this time with a lot to face, and Jem Bendell, I've known since when I was still an undergrad. My sister sent me his paper on corporate social responsibility, and I went to a conference at the UN, and Jem was one of the keynote speakers already. He's only a few years older than me, but he was already doing some pretty senior work in his early 20s. He's been in the field of like how to turn this world around in a healthier, more sustainable, wholesome direction for decades. He's given so much of his life energy to these themes. And Jem, I thank you so much for that, as well as for being here this evening. Jem is the founder, I believe, of the Institute for Leadership and Sustainability at Cumbria University. And in 2018, he wrote a paper called Positive Deep Adaptation. And initially it was a blog post that went viral. And then he published a paper, and pretty soon after the blog post went viral, and I saw it all over Facebook, and finally I read it. And pretty soon after that, I started to notice at UK festivals, these tents coming up going, Extinction Rebellion. We have to talk about environmentalism in a new way. We have to talk about the precipice that we're at in a new way. And when Jem and I talked preparing for this, essentially he said he reached a point in his research where he was looking around at fellow academics, civil society folks, media, politicians, saying, hey, well, we have to find new language for talking about this, because it's all like sustainability targets or Mad Max. And he's like, let's look again at Mad Max. We actually need some better ways of talking about some of the scenarios of what we could actually be facing. Jem, you could talk for so many hours. You only have 5 minutes. What would you say at this point about basically how fucked might we be in terms of environmental crisis? And what do you think are some good ways of being and responding at this time particularly for Westerners. I think we're most of us Westerners, so for us, yeah. And you'll get a bell at 5 minutes, and that, you know, obviously doesn't mean finish right there. It means, you know, gently wrap up. Yeah, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Bryony, for the invitation. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So you said this would be improv. So I am studiously prepared by not preparing, and by just letting your song, which I hadn't heard before, kind of be my world, be my reality, just let it sink in. And the big thing that came to me was that's with me now is well, loneliness and impossibility. And I realized that I don't know many people who I can be who I am with. So it's almost like I've given up on that. So I have friends and we do things together. We share ideas, we share some politics, we share some aspects of like my perspective on where we're at with the environment. Or we share music, or there are various ways that we interact, but actually this, my reality is that we're already in the midst of a catastrophic event. We already have a broken world. We already you know, I'm 49 years old. In my lifetime, 70% of all the wild animals have gone. We've killed them. When I say we, you know what I mean. But it's pretty similar for insects as well. So I look back on, you know, every moment in my life, all the highs and lows, studying for exams, all sorts, that conference, whatever, just in the background, sort of a distant, imperceptible roar of chainsaws around the planet, just wiping out forests and everything for 49 years. It's kind of like the reality of what's been going on. And nothing really working. As you say, I mean, my first job in this was 1995 at WWF, and just a few years before that was the 1992 Earth Summit, and where me and loads of people were very excited with the idea that finally, you know, it looks like, oh, good, we're going to have people working together on saving the world. And humanity has emitted more carbon dioxide since then than in the entire history of the Industrial Revolution before. So, since the Industrial Revolution until 1992. So, yeah, we're in a broken world, and and we seem to make it worse. When I say we, I mean the way media and the way our monetary systems just keep pushing us in the wrong way. So I've responded in quite sort of haphazard creativity, and maybe that's the best way. So working with artists sometimes, or even having a go at my own music, adopting stray kittens. It's just all of that was weird for me before. You know, for most other people, perhaps it's just normal to be kind of like a bit creative and a bit present and a bit nice. But I used to be on a mission to try and sort things out. And as that has broken in me, lots of other things have become possible. And yet I also realize I don't have, yeah, and perhaps it's also because I've moved on from the Deep Adaptation Forum about 18 months ago. perhaps that gave me a sense of community that I don't know how have. But it's also a tough place to be, to connect with people up on this premise about how bad things are already, how much destruction's happened already, how much is happening right now, and how much is to come, and also how destabilizing it's going to be for all of us, and yet we don't quite know where and when. And we don't really know how much our efforts at resilience will work, and yet we still must try. Is that a dinging bell or something?
It was the dinging bell. I mean, it's amazing to end up. We don't know how much our attempts at resilience will work, and yet we must try. Do you have more to add?
No. All right with that. Stick to your 5 minute thing.
Jem, thank you so much. Everyone, I invite you just to feel yourself, how his words have landed. Stray kitten. Yeah. You know what? You're all on mute right now, but if you want to just let your heart have a little sing as we hear the kitten. It's potentially very deep grief that these themes touch on. And, you know, this event, while it does honour and make room for our hearts, it doesn't have the capacity to be a grief ritual. And I think we probably all need several. But Jem, I really appreciate your authenticity here. And would you just make a shape if that's part of your experience, like not having people, not managing to get a shared sense of reality with many people around you? And yeah, Dave, it's true. Sarah, it's true. Anna Barker, it's true. Right. Luckily, I have quite a lot of shared reality with people in my world, but yeah. Jem created a Facebook forum called Deep Adaptation, where it's a lot of people with this kind of reality. If you can handle it, go join. Hi, Dad. Nice to see you. Dave Hampton has a poem. Dave, I think it's the moment for your poem. Would you be willing to share it with us?
Thank you, Bryony. I think I'd rather sing.
Do you want to sing your poem?
No, actually, not sure which is scarier, actually. But thank you, and thank you, Jem, for everything over the years as well. I'm actually 62, and for some reason, all that stuff has, it's been onto me, or I've been onto it for a while. So, but over the last 5 years, Bryony has held my hand walking into that world of song, and I thank you very sincerely for that, Bryony. Am I loud enough, by the way? Am I? Yeah. So reminding myself that I have a body, reminding myself I can breathe. I'm navigating quite a lot of performance anxiety, which is all self-imposed. I understand that. But that really helps. But I'm no poet, and this is no beautiful poet, despite what you said about it being beautiful. But don't let shame get in the way of your healing. That was a little bit of song, that's not the poem. So yeah, haphazard creativity I wrote down in my notes. I think that's, yeah. Oh yeah, thank you. I am a body. We are a body. It really is a huge honour to be part of this. I'm not just saying that. It's, thank you, Bryony, for the love, support, the holding over the years. I really, really feel it, even when I don't show it. And here are the words that poured out of me last year. I think all you need to know is that it was one very hot day in July. Jeff Bezos had just done his space rocket thing, and I want to swear at that point, but I won't. And it was just before a full moon. I wrote it for me. I made the mistake of putting it on Facebook to process it, But anyway, I called it Moon Tears. The way I'm introducing it sounds like I'm about to sing, doesn't it? Or a little song I wrote called Moon Tears, and I'll let it speak for itself now. And it's really nice for me, actually, that you can't improv a poem. I suppose you can improv how you read it, but it's kind of got words that glue you to the accuracy of the thing.
Was? Einer 40 nur.
That's not my poem. Hey, wondrous moon sister, lovely to see ya. Through smoke, bell end Bezos, billionaire belched rocket fuel, fool, fume. I see your beauty still tonight. I pray, wondrous moon sister. Through heat haze, Bolsonaro baked Amazon, rainless, forestless horror, hothouse clear-cut inferno. I see your beauty, if distant tonight. Through eyes wide open with deep dulled alarm at my species' hubris and harm, I still see your beauty light up bright. As ours fades away, slips, tonight, out of sight. Through the silent scream of all creation's creatures suffering the scorched earth policy inflicted by us, Boris Vogons, on a planet once so full of childhood promise, a paradise. I feel all last beauty recede this hot, dark, damnable, smoking night. It was hot. And with these bleak words aired and shared on Zuckerberg's fake book PlayStation Spy's Wonderwall, through two pairs of eyes, yours, thank you, and mine, some small solace seems to arise at the thought, moon gives witness. Moon gives witness, watches us mess up at planetary scale, sobbing an unstoppable river of her arid, moon dust dry teardrops, her jewels, for her beautiful, lost, earth sister. An RTA, her sister's very life claimed by reckless driving human arsonists, embers, ashes, dust to moon dust. In both Wetico madness and sanity, this new nothing is black and white, holding on tight to dark moonlight sunbeam tonight. Don't fret for me, rather for her at skyfall. Earth, Vienna, night night. And yes, it finished with a question mark. Thank you, Bryony.
Oh, Dave, thank you so much for sharing. Can we make a shape for Dave? With our hands. Hey, you all, do you have earphones handy? If you do, put them in. If you don't worry. I think it's time to do you want to if you're settled in your seat, stay seated. If you want to stand, have a stand. And I think it's time for us to unmute and maybe turn your volume down a little bit. And vocally, we'll do a little thing called soul song all together and hearing each other, where I'll start a note and we'll sing softly and it will sound messy as anything on Zoom. And then we'll all open into letting our souls sing. And if it's really loud, just take your microphone a bit away and then we'll come back to a single note and a silence. Do you want to have a go? Yeah, unmute. Jem probably can't do it. It's 2 a.m. in where Jem lives in Bali. You probably can't be loud. Unmute everyone. And then
I'll turn down the speaker.
Gradually bringing it to a close. Gradually bringing it to a close. Is it just me that loves to hear everyone sing, even though it's really messy? Do we all love it? Do we all love to hear each other's voices? Yeah. It's like, what are we going to do with the realities of this world but gather and sing? I mean, there are other things to talk about. If you, thank you for singing, everybody. If you go back to mute, please. I got to say, that brings me to tears to do that.
Can't hear you, Bryony. We can't hear you.
Can't hear me. Is that any better?
We can't hear you, Bryony.
You can't hear me at all?
I can hear you.
I can hear you, no problem.
Is it just you, Mum and Dad? Can you hear me now?
I don't think it's anything you're doing. It's just maybe their speaker settings got.
We still can't hear you.
You can't hear me. I think it's your speaker setters, folks. Your speaker. Everybody else can hear me. Sorry. Good luck, Mum and Dad. We can't. Keep trying, Mum and Dad. Everybody else has got me. Thank you for clarifying. I got to say, it makes me cry because behind that tree where it says Shay Nichols, that like one of the voices in there was Shay Nichols, who's one of my favorite people in the world to sing with, and hearing her voice is like, oh, it makes me cry because she's my ritual singer sister. And you know, I left California. There she is. Hello, Shay. I left California partly because it was really, really drying up, and the dryness was getting scary. And shortly after I left, the fires started to really pick up. And I invented this word, transmorphography, for the way that we transmorph, or the way that we are transmorphing or have to transmorph in these times where some places are on fire, some places are underwater, some places are running out of water, and we're in times of big migration and disruption. And my life hasn't really resettled, you know, since leaving California. Like, I belonged there. I loved it, and I haven't rerouted. And Shay, I miss you, and it's lovely to hear you sing. Skeena, I'd like us to move to you now. Do you feel ready? I can't see you. Where are you?
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here, and I'm as ready as possible.
You're as ready as possible. You're like, it's my turn. That's it. I can feel you through the Zoom field. So Skeena Rathor is one of the co-founders of Extinction Rebellion, along with their dear friend Gail Bradbrick. Skeena, you're also a local politician and district councillor for Whoa! Let's mute everyone, please. Thank you. Great. Okay, let's all feel our feet and our seat and take a deep breath. So she's a movement creator and co-creator and co-leader. She is a local politician. And Skeena, you're a trauma therapist. So, you know, okay, we've heard from Jem how bad it is. Skeena, how do you think humans, particularly humans in the West, what are some good ways of being, things to do, actions to take, or things to just accept and release our grip on? Or what should we do, Skeena?
Oh, Bryony, I was hoping you'd tell me that. Can you, Jem's making a big ear sound. That's probably just he's saying, I really want to hear that. So look, I come to you, as you know, Bryony, straight from a ceremony from my dada, Ghulam Ali Rathor. It was 40 days since his burial, and it's a custom. I come from Kashmiri Sufi heritage, that after 40 days we remember and we say another farewell, and we offer prayers for the soul's journey. And you know, in being with that, and in being with the grief that I feel rising from the moment this call started, in terms of our grief for the world and its brokenness, its hardship, its alienation, as Jem was saying, you know, this estrangement. It's even more than separation. A lot of it, we talk about separation. You know, some people describe it as a separation paradigm. I also just want to, as I say that, often I say that, and Mickey's not here. Mickey's one of my, I would say she's been a very close mentor and inspiration to me for some years. And she's inspired a lot of my work personally in XR, and Gail's too. So being here in her presence is many things, but I just want to deep bow to you, Mickey, for a moment as I speak about the separation paradigm, because there's so much of it is what I've learned from you. But it's more like what I'm feeling is like it's even more. It's this estrangement and alienation, and it's like a deadness. You know, it's a death way. It's instead of a life way, that we're living in death ways. And the feeling for me around this time of grief and mourning, and it reminds me of that moment of when the climate break, the reality of when it took me actually 6 months for Jem's. I came across it. It's all Jem's fault. All of it's Jem's fault. I came across it from his presentation of deep adaptation, and I was on a platform 6 months later, and it wasn't until then, and it was the trigger was reading something from an Australian scientist that actually talked about her relationship to the world. She was talking about climate grief, not as climate grief, not as a scientist, but her relationship, that what she was loving was dying. And since Dada passed and walked on, again, I've been back in that place with, my goodness, what if we actually felt it as that there was a beloved that's dying, you know? And what we've done is, you know, we've othered the mother Earth. She's, you know, we don't call her that. It's the planet, or it's the Earth, or it's, you know, it's the biosphere. And okay, James Lovelock made a step towards Gaia, but what about the relationship? What about the relationship? And if we were really in, because since Dada died, you know, that thing that many of you will know when a beloved passes, is that the world stops turning. Like your world just stops turning. And you kind of go, hold on, everybody wait, stop. My world's just stopped turning. And there's much to do. There's so much to do in that desolation zone. But instead, two things have happened. One, we're so in lack of relationship with each other and with the mother and all our siblings, of all the other species that are our siblings, right? And with our human family, that we are in this unfeeling. And so we don't even get to that despair and desolation zone. And what happened to me, and very similarly to what's been happening these last 6 weeks, is, yeah, my world just stopped. I collapsed on the platform at Paddington Station, crawled to my mama's house and hid under a duvet for a few days because I couldn't do anything. So it's like when you say, Bryony, what is there to do? I'm in some wondering about, well, what is there to feel? What is there to feel? what is there to be in relationship with so that we can feel? And what's in the way? What's in the way? And we can make so many guesses at that, and we've only got 5 minutes. So yeah.
Oh, Skeena, want to give you such a big hug. Could give Skeena a big Zoom hug.
Bless you.
Oh my goodness, and here, you know, I've never seen it that way before, but it's like, right, when we contact our love for life itself, for nature, for the earth, for the rivers, for the trees, for the soil, for the seasons, for the smells, for the fires, for the fishes, for the birds, for the bears, for the whole thing. And then it's like that below, and then we're talking about carbon and targets, CO2 and 350 parts per million. It's like, I'm sorry, it's my dear parents there, but it's like your beloved mother is on a bed dying, and everybody's talking about stats and this and that. You're like, it's my fucking mom, you know. It's like,
that's it.
It's really tender.
Every day.
People, so
she nourishes me every day.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like getting out of the science and into the heart, and getting barefoot and naked, and I don't know, whatever, but back to the heart and the body of the love relationship. And in that, the grief and I suppose I worked in sustainability, saw the data, went, time out of time, gave it up. Now regeneration, and like, what can we do? Once we get back in love, once we honor the sacredness, the sentience, the interdependence, the relationship, the intimacy, can our hands touch the soil? Do we start tending? This is what Charles Eisenstein is saying about, like, well, actually the Earth's support systems can be regenerated, water systems can be regenerated, forests can be regenerated. So there's this tenuous, like, yes, there's this epic destruction and death, and there's the capacity for regeneration, the both and in these times. But as Jem's saying, it's like with the money systems, the whole trajectory is that way, and we need to like go that way. And then the language of science and stats, when we need to get back to the love. Oh, Skeena, thank you for bringing your love and your tender, massive heart here with us this evening. People, let's have a sing, and then we'll have a little loo break, and then we'll come back and have a dance. I think let's not try and be on mute. No, let's not try and be unmuted. Just let your voice go free. I'm going to be unmuted for a bit, and then I'm going to mute, so you have more room. You don't have to sing, just let it sound. And do you know what? Actually, I'm going to hold a drone for you. I'm going to drone, and you just sound on top of me, but on mute, so that it's not so chaotic. So, you said you wanted to do some work around here. Yeah, we're on. Let's mute. Let's have a little comfort break. We'll come back and we'll dance to Jem's new music video, and then we'll hear from people on the other side of the paradigm shift. Well, no, we're all in the middle of the paradigm shift. See you in a moment. Can you believe I didn't record that? Sorry. Just for people watching the playback, you've missed our dancing to Jem's Love and Rage. So you have to go on YouTube and look up Love and Rage by Jem Bendell, have a dance, and then come back and join us for the conversation. All right, Federico, hello.
Hey, I just want to acknowledge, I put it in the chat, but for me anyway, and I think maybe for more of us, a fantastic combination, right, of community, your soulful leadership, gym, poetry, dancing, voices, improv. It's so good to put it all together in this integral, beautiful way with our bodies and our voices. Thank you.
Well, Federico, thank you so much I'm glad it's working for you. And what does it bring up in you, hearing Jem and Skeena and?
Well, I mean, I'm familiar with this, and it's kind of old wounds coming up, and I work with these all the time, and it's good to feel them again, and it's good to put it into movement and dance too.
Yeah, it's like nobody's hearing. It's not new stuff this evening, but it's like
It's like letting it in. I keep letting it in.
She keeps coming in deeper and deeper, and
Right, kind of
turning us
breaking
more and more
trust.
towards what directions we need to find. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Federico. Anyone else? All right. Well, I tell you what, if you feel really moved to share something, raise your hand. And Anna, maybe if you can help me track people who are raising their hand. So I'd like to go now to Martin Winiecki. There you are. Yeah. So Martin lives at. So one of the things I notice is that more and more people, including me, would quite like to unplug from modernity as much as we possibly can, get together in tribes, regenerate the soil, come back to community, and say goodbye to ways of destruction and try and turn back towards ways of life that are genuinely within Earth's limits and genuinely life-bringing, and unhook from the systems of destruction that we're all pretty hooked into. I'm still just longing for it and not really actualizing it, but Martin has lived for a long time in a community of people who do seem to be really, really actualizing it. It's an eco village called Tamera in Portugal. It's, I think, about 40 years old. And they have a really different view of life. And Dieter Doom, one of the founders, says that we're in this 5,000-year trauma, violence, war matrix, that so much of life is within, like the matrix, and we need to find ways to unplug ourselves from that and plug into a sacred matrix, like a whole different paradigm. Martin, you got 5 minutes. What is coming up for you now? What would you like to share with us? And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bryony, for inviting me for this conversation. And first of all, I want to give thanks for the space that you created to that is so full of acceptance, and also the possibility of sharing grief, which is rare. Thank you especially to Jem and also to Skeena for the depths of sharing. I don't know you, but I felt I could see you and your heart in an intimate depth. So thank you for that. Yeah, I will not be able to share now what is Tamera, and also I don't intend to present Tamera as the answer to this question. I want to say that this question of how do we respond to the ecological crisis is also a tricky one, because oftentimes we don't notice the place from which we are asking or perceiving the world, because the way we make sense of the world very much informs how we will respond to it. And nowadays we have a whole mainstream system that is turning to protecting climate and nature for the same motives that we have previously extracted to the brink of planetary collapse. So I think a beginning place of this question of how we respond is really to question and examine the ways that we relate to the world, that we make sense of the world. I really loved what Skeena previously shared about the ways we are actually related to the earth. And I feel that what the climate crisis invites us into, kind of independent of outcome, really is this is not in a way the question whether we will be able to save ourselves or not, but is a possibility of liberation from the illusions and the traumas through which we have separated ourselves from the living earth. And this is a deep shift. I mean, even as being a person who considers himself an activist, I have for a long time resisted to accept kind of the depth of our predicament. And now I find that seeing that, you know, human extinction might actually happen in this lifetime, I see this as something that motivates me to kind of strip away and to really examine all the layers culturally, but also individually of separation and trauma through which I and we culturally have engaged in this kind of behavior. So it is not a system out there. All the systems that we critique, they also live within us. And so one of the exploration from which community starts, and from which also I think the hope or the possibility for the future of human life rests on, is that we create community in the sense that we heal within and among us the root causes that lead to violence and destruction out in the world. You mentioned Dieter Doom, one of Tamara's co-founders. He says that what we are doing to the earth is what we have been doing to the feminine, or we are doing to the rivers what we have done to love. So there is this mirror between the inner and the outer. And it is because something that has been unresolved in within people and in their relationships, the reflection of trauma of 5,000 years of patriarchal violence, that we have perpetuated it in the planetary destruction. And so I believe what the climate crisis invites us into is not just a set of new actions, but is a different way of relation and being that has to do with restoring the relations and the connections to the world. And this is, I believe, the relations between the earth and humans, and the relations between people, is really a mirror to one another. And in that sense, I feel that also on a practical, on a material level, the climate crisis is putting us into a nonlinear time, into a nonlinear development where we cannot predict outcomes, but we do know that the large-scale globalized systems that are sustaining us right now are going to collapse. In that sense, I believe that we will be compelled to live in small-scale, decentralized, autonomous, regenerative communities, and I believe that those cells can be kind of catalysts or social laboratories for a future way of living, where we are no longer basing ourselves in destruction, but really in living connection with the planet. And the beauty of that is that and this is also part of the experience that I come from, is that when you engage in relation with the earth, when you regenerate an ecosystem, and it is not theory, it is an experience of growing connection, where you perceive yourself and human community as part of a living ecosystem. So regeneration also is not a mechanistic thing that we now do in order to save ourselves, but it comes from the beauty and the wish of wanting to participate in the community of life, and so it is restoring our wholeness, and that, I believe, in itself is a reason for moving in this direction. It doesn't have to depend on, you know, the certainty that humanity will live forever, but it is the beauty of being part of the Gaian whole. Yeah, I don't know if that if the 5 minutes are up, but those are some of the thoughts that have emerged while listening and while being in this conversation.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Martin. Should we make some movements with our arms for Martin? Yeah, it's great to hear you. It's really great to hear you. Thank you for sharing. You know, I was speaking recently to a young man who is 25, and he studied politics, philosophy and economics at Brasenose College, and then did a master's in international relations at UCL, and now is making his way in the world. And I said, hey, what's it like to come of age in these times? And he said, you know, it's something between listlessness, despondency and confusion. He said, I'm really looking for a framework to organize my growth, my progress around, and I can't find one. And I said, right, that would make sense, because if we put things on a wheel with north, midnight, death, south, midday, youth, east, dawn, birth, west, sunset, middle age, modernity, this kind of modernity, colonial, violent, unsustainable paradigm is kind of at 10, 11 p.m., right? It's kind of dying, it's kind of falling apart, it's collapsing. And then this regenerative culture that Martin can kind of speak from the way of being of, right? You're saying, hey, even the heart of the way of being is different. It's like it's pre-birth. It's like coming through like little shoots in various places, but it's not that visible to someone who's just left university, right? And so we are in this kind of this time between midnight and sunrise, this time between death and birth, which is a time of decay and disorientation and grief and feeling and all the things that Skeena speaks to. And yet, Martin, when you talk about, you know, what we've been doing to the earth and the rivers is like what we've been doing to the feminine, that really speaks to me. And like the things that are rising now to be more honored, to be held as sacred, to be related with as sacred, the way that the sacred is coming down from the sky and into the earth, into the body, and some of our attitudes. And we're going to talk about this with more people. But thank you so much, Martin, for what you brought this evening. I'd like to turn us now. Does anybody need to just move a bit, feel yourself, sound a bit? And these, yeah, I love it. Some of you are unmuted and we hear these bits of voice coming through. It's great. I think Jem has already gone to bed because it's so late in Bali. Mickey Cashtan is, I think, in the Bay Area and came in last minute. Martin Winiecki wrote to me and said, I just told Mickey I'm doing this thing and she really wants to come. What did he say? She's a visionary with a practical sense of how we get from a patriarchal paradigm into a different paradigm, a better paradigm. And hey, everyone, I see some of you a bit weary. I understand it's a big session. We've got about 17 minutes left. We're going to hear from Mickey, then we're going to sing and hear from each other a bit. And yeah, Mickey, over to you.
Thank you. And thank you for the graciousness and flexibility of adding me last minute. So first of all, I'm not in the Bay Area. I haven't been in the US for over 2 years. I am vagabonding, so I'm in no place specific, moving around in search of a place to create community also. So I'm not going to speak a whole lot about that, except to say that vagabonding and the untethering from the system that it creates really exposes the degree to which you keep asking for Westerners, the degree to which we are addicted to comfort and to the illusion of stability and things are okay that modern liberal, so-called liberal democracies give us. I'm just going to leave that as an open thread for people to pursue on their own. Where I really want to start is to say this: if we had a magic wand and we could just poof, make climate change go away, we will not have fixed the problem. Because climate change is a symptom, not the problem itself. And one of the ways that I see that is so much of what is being talked about in terms of climate change is technological solutions, which are actually within the problem rather than a solution to the problem. So some of the things that I see as the root causes have already been said. So I'm going to say it in a slightly different way. I see us as a low capacity species. We have been battered by several thousand years of trauma from the turn to patriarchy, which was mentioned, and specifically the turn to patriarchy means moving away from trust in life that results in flow, in togetherness, and in choice, moving away from trust in life into scarcity, from which comes separation and powerlessness. So we've lived in several thousand years of trauma from scarcity, separation, and powerlessness. And if we're going to change anything, we need to change those things. So what I am dedicating my life to at this time, whatever remaining days I have for it, is to identify what it is that we can do individually, but I'm not really seeing that individual change is going to get us anywhere. Collectively, what is it that we can do? And so I and those that I work with engage in experiments with truth, in trying out optimal conditions. And optimal conditions mean having enough togetherness in choosing what we're doing, rather than, trying to fight our way into doing something different. Not that fighting isn't important, but fighting for a different world will not work if our ways of fighting are the same as the thing that we are fighting against. Then at best we change who is in power rather than how power functions, how we create, how we govern ourselves, how we share resources, how we make decisions, how we share information, how we keep learning through feedback, what we do when there's conflict. All these things need to be rethought. And I'm engaging in small, intentional acupuncture experiments to see what we can learn from doing this in a kind of like real life laboratory situation. That's what, I'm not saying that that will solve anything, because the scale at which I'm operating is tiny. I'm only saying that we need to do things differently, and I'm learning about what that is and trying to connect with other people who are also learning so that we can learn together and recreate the commons, recreate a different relationship within which we can have a web of agreement that will hold us when the old patterns of comfort, of separation, of moving away from people when they don't do what we like. How do we keep ourselves together even when the going gets hard? How do we learn together? And especially, I heard the bell, I'm just going to say a couple more sentences, especially, how do we change the way we engage with resources so that they can flow from where they exist to where the need is, which is a completely different paradigm. It's the maternal gift economy paradigm that is entirely different from the exchange paradigm within which we live now. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you.
Damn, Mickey, thank you. Should we all give some, I don't know, maybe unmute and give some noise or make some sounds.
Earthalluia.
Earthalluia. I love it. Oh, Mickey, it's great to hear you. You make my life make more sense. I'm currently at this place in Bergerac, France, with 10 people, with a man called Carl Steyert guiding our ship. I think you know each other. And we're learning collaborative decision making and conflict resolution, and everybody's annoying the shit out of each other. How to give feedback and how to. And I'm realizing, oh, I only know how to be in charge or go really quiet, and like learning how to like almost take collaborative vocal improvisation out of the art form and into real life and be authentic, make room for the other, make decisions together, make proposals, do sociocracy. It's bloody hard work, but Mickey, you just made it all seem more worthwhile, because I think transition processes are messy and learning is hard, but there's value in it. Oh, we have named so much. I think I'm going to need to rewatch this several times to digest what you all said. We've got 9 minutes left. I'd like to close us out with us all singing together, but would anybody like to say anything before we turn to song? I think we want to sing then. All right, if you have earphones, get some earphones on. If you don't worry about it. What I would like us to try is holding a bit of a drone together and quite spaciously, occasionally, having like a little solo over it. Mostly one person at a time. Sometimes it's going to be messy and be 2 people at a time. Should we try it? Technically, it's a form called flower and earth, where the droners are the earth and the soloists are the flowers. I've never tried it with 34 people on Zoom. It would be an experiment. If it's horrible, stop. That's the rule with vocal improv. If you don't like, just stop singing and it's over. Should we try? Okay, get your earphones in if you can, and come on, unmute. If you're there and you feel like showing your video, it's so lovely in these last 10 minutes to see each other's faces. But if you can't do that, I understand. Feel your feet, your seat, deep breath. Soften it down. thank you, my fellow humans, with your bodies, hearts, and souls, as we be in this time of hospicing what needs to be hospicing, of midwifing what is ready to be midwifed, of doing our work within ourselves, between ourselves. Showing up. Would you mind muting, please? Showing up for times of... Please mute. Somebody's... can you all just mute, please? Thanks, everyone. Showing up for unprecedented times. Belly to the tide, belly to the stream, feeling it, running towards it, showing up for this conversation and others. I want to say hello and send love to the earth between each of us in all the different countries we're in. And acknowledge all the genius of the soils, the mycelium, the earthworms, and all the creatures that live beneath us in this beautiful planet with some kind of molten crystal in the center, spinning in orbit around a burning sun in a family of planets in a universe beyond the epic. I want to say hello to the waters running all around and within us. Hello to all the plants and all the trees who I believe are our kin, sacred sentient relations. Hello to all who dwell in the waters, all who dwell on the lands, all who dwell in the air, our brothers, our sisters, our kin, to each of you, to all the humans we share this planet with. Tenderness and care for all that we feel, the death we witness, the birthing we witness, and the germination of new ways of being we feel within, around, and between us. Welcome, kid. Is your heart big enough to hold the whole world as it is? Finding those we can be honest with, authentic with, reaching out in our authenticity and inviting that back from each other. I thank you all. I bless you all. Let's stay in touch. I'll put everybody's everything on the something, digital. And much, much gratitude to the speakers, much, much gratitude to all of you who have come. We do this once a month, the theme changes, but the vibe is fairly consistent. Thank you, Anna, for all the back end technical work. And yeah. What wants to happen at the end? Just thank you, love, and closing. Maybe you will come off mute and...
Thank you, Bryony. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bryony.
Gratitude.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of love.
Lots of love. I feel like we're all knitters, knitting little stitches
Knitting
in the
squares.
fabric of our world. Take good care.
Yes,
Go well.
thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you so much.
Oh, take good care. Farewell.
Don't want to go now.
Oh, we can stick around and just hang out a bit. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and stick around if you just feel like not leaving. I'll stop the recording. Thomas Hahn entered the waiting room. Oh, it's a bit late, Thomas.